So I think it's something that we all did not pay much attention to. TikTok has just always been there with music. But we, as the users, were not aware that before the inception of the app, there was a legal binding contract between TikTok and UMG, which is Universal Music Group, right? So if you have no idea the power that UMG possesses, you're like big people are signed there. You know, we're talking people that are actually huge. In South Africa, we're talking of probably, I think it's Nasty C. I think Casper's there as well. We also have like your Shakana. No, Shakana's Sony, I'm lying. We've got, who's this? We got Musa Sukwene. Like all the piano kids, majority of them are like scouted there. And even though it's just distribution deals, but they're under UMG.
Yeah.
Internationally, it's even worse, you know. You've got Bo Nicki Minaj, all these big pop stars from there. I think even Justin. Yeah, I think Justin Bieber as well.
And Taylor Swift.
And Drake.
We thought Twig Taylor.
Eh?
We thought Twerk Taylor.
Taylor Swift.
We thought Twerk Taylor. Run it back, but it's fine. We're not there. Yeah, you know. So
Taylor Swift, man.
Sorry. You know, so all the big stars are part of UMG. And now TikTok and UMG decided they are not renewing their contract. Now, just to shed some light as to why. TikTok, the contract was about to be renewed, so they were in negotiations. And while they were sitting, UMG was like, yo, TikTok dog, what's up? What's good? Like, I know I'm nice. What's easy? Like, look, I'm excited, man. We've been doing some great work together. Our artists are eating, and it's usually because of what you're doing. So shout out. So like, yo, no, shout out to you because people like my app because of your shandies. Shout out. So UMG's like, oh, so shout out to me. He's like, yeah. It's like, okay, let's talk about the guap. TikTok is now making real good money. So you can't pay me like a Spotify would or what good, because now I run your show. Yeah. So better percentages for my artists, please. Yeah. TikTok was like, oh yeah? Come on, the bread. You're paying measly cents, you know? And these people have trends that go on and that even create... These trends not only trend, but they are pop culture and they influence culture. Mm-hmm. Even not only on TikTok, but they all are spread out into like real life or like your Instagram or office spaces, you know. So the artists are on a bit more. So we're actually talking about not only you being given access to our database and music, sure. TikTok wasn't guys, what it's been dope, Donna, and out. That was it. And then TikTok was like, I'm out. UMG was like, oh, I fail. TikTok app, music, every app, and then every video.
Yeah.
So you go on TikTok now, you just see us dancing. The music is gone. You know, it is your dog. Like, because I didn't even understand. Because I had posted a video that was doing really well, and I was just like, why is my audio mute? You know. Copyright infringement on TikTok. That's usually like a YouTube thing, a Facebook thing. So I'm like, what do you mean? Because I used like a track. I searched it and I used the soundtrack of it. Like, nah. And then that's when I read up about it. And TikTok UMG by finding out the middle finger. But what you guys did not see, or maybe you did, is that Sony Music used that chance to shine. So now they are pushing their music on the platform. So not legally with TikTok, but like now, say you wanna like got TikTok, I wanna release some music so that now that the UMG people basile space gap using the sounds are brilliant marketing for me. Because now that I think about it, I did not know that UMG was signed with TikTok, and it makes perfect sense why their numbers
TikTok made a deal with all of them, because there's 3 major labels.
Okay.
There's Warner,
so
there's Sony.
Oh, Warner, the Warner Brothers.
Universal.
Okay.
Yes. So Universal is the biggest label currently. Not by a huge band, but it is a
yeah, because it's got all the hot people, like majority of the...
Sony and Warner, they very big.
Yeah,
it's just this big slide.
Yeah,
but now, with them giving each other the middle finger, I guess it's giving the other two a bigger playing field for them to do like their thing. And I just really don't know
what it's gonna mean, because I feel like one of the upper hands that UMG had in the game was that they knew that they can push your music. And that's why a lot of big people sign distribution with them, because they can push. And I think losing TikTok in their belt is also going to be tough, because you're almost indefinitely assured that if you sign with them, your music is gonna.
What Universal is saying is that only 1% of their revenue is coming from TikTok,
which is terrible.
So they can do.
That's exactly what they said. Yeah.
So the only people that are losing here is artists.
And that's what UMG said. They brought it to the table. So you look like you huffing and puffing. You want to die. Let it out.
I've been trying to see a space to get in, but
come in. I
can't see it. Anyway, I saw the statement from, I didn't read the entire statement, but I saw the statement from TikTok.
Okay.
And they accused Universal of corporate greed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the first one. Yeah.
So, and I do agree with them, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I don't know what the deal was, and I don't know what the percentages are, but I would like to assume that the same percentages that they give to Warner and Sony, they're exactly the same as the one that they offer to Universal. Also, Universal, on their statement that they released, is that TikTok, they would like to have a better deal so that their artists, they can benefit more. That's Universal.
Yeah, that's
right?
what.
To me, it doesn't make sense that a Sony and a Warner, yes, so Sony is bigger than Warner. Warner is just coming behind them, right? Sony is bigger than Warner. But I would like to believe that Sony also knows their worth. So they wouldn't just accept a deal which is whack. So how would Sony accept a deal that Universal will say, nah, fuck it?
But I feel like understand the principle. We are not saying peanuts. So UMG went there and said, bump the cheese up.
Why?
And then TikTok gets akiba.
Could it be that they are looking at the fact that they are popular, or they are bringing.
They've got bigger numbers.
Numbers, you know what I mean? So now they're coming at TikTok and be like, "Hey, man, look, we're going big, and it'll be nice for you to just bump it up a bit, bump up the cheese a bit, because we're doing our job and we're doing it more than maybe these other two that you have contracted to. So give us a little bit more."
But remember, it's a partnership. So if you're saying bump up the cheese, why? And
that's why they, I don't know. That's why it could either be
TikTok also has a leverage.
Honestly, or
they have over 1 billion or about 1 billion users of TikTok. Luana, how about a challenge and like, oh, this song is nice.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's bringing numbers for Universal. Like, as big as Universal is, remember all the other labels, they're going to either get distribution deals. So even, in the world, if there's 3 major labels, all other labels are going to filter amongst those 3 labels. So if you're going to Shazam and you're going to stream, because of they gave them the platform for their music to be advertised. It's a win-win for both.
Exactly. Also, to add on that,
that's why corporate greed.
I hear your argument, right? That maybe they thought that they have the bigger artists and everything, so they think they deserve more. Yes. I'll make an example with ShopRite, right? If you have your product, and your product, for an example, you own a Coca-Cola, which is, I'd like to believe it's bought more than any other fizzy drink, right? Just because they buy it more, it does. I don't think it means that you need to get more, right? Yes, maybe you might be getting more compared to the others because they're less popular, right? Maybe the deal is better for you, but for you to say, I'll bring it back to the artist. For you to say my artists are bigger, so I deserve to get maybe
paraphrase.
3 times more.
They are big, but it's just
it's just an argument. Right?
Okay.
It's just an argument. Nakwana, we don't know what was said, right? So we're just assuming here.
Allegedly.
But given the statements from both of the parties, I'd like to believe that they tried to negotiate, but they never came to a conclusion, right? And yes, also Universal, the 1% of their revenue might be coming from TikTok. I understand that as a corporate, right? However, the biggest losers in this thing are the artists. Imagine you are an amapiano artist and you can't promote your song on TikTok. That's where the challenges are living.
True.
You can't have a challenge anywhere else. Well, you can, but it's not going to be that
They can,
popular.
but I think now it's not going to be licensed. Now your music, your intellectual property is no longer protected. Because I think that's what they do before Barilisa.
You won't be able to.
John.
They're going to mute
Because
it.
they Universal
hold it.
essentially own that song.
Yeah.
Mabo?
So they'll
So
mute it.
even when as an
As an
artist you want to
individual,
push it
if you want to
there,
post it, you can't.
you can't if your contract.
Is with
You're actually right, because you're reminding me of a time where I was still in radio and we had Teleman for an interview and he just dropped a new album, got the size, that was then. And then Universal Music was like, we're going to give you certain, like I have a friend, Ledne, who's like, I'm going to give you songs that are allowed to be playlisted. And then I'm going to give you additional songs that you're only going to give airplay because it's a special interview. Immediately after this airplay, take them down. But these are the 2 songs that you're only allowed to play. So I think,
Here's a twist, right? We'll just go with it for argument's sake.
Hey, wait, that.
Do you think maybe Taylor Swift might have put a hand on Universal and saying, let's do 1, 2, 3? The reason I'm saying this, listen. One of the argument of Universal is that TikTok is not protecting their artists when it comes to artificial intelligence and like the bullying and all that shit.
shit.
This is after last week Taylor Swift
Yeah,
was
that's
having that
interesting.
saga with artificial
The AI
intelligence.
thing, yeah.
And if you recall, I think last year or the year before, Taylor Swift had like an altercation with, can't you watch that streamline service? Not Apple Music, in
Spotify?
Spotify. And basically it ended up giving Universal and her, Taylor Swift, a good deal out of that Spotify thing. So she's very influential. And she's one of the biggest artists in
the
Universal.
world.
Yeah, in the world, not even Universal in the world. So what if she had a hand on this whole drifting?
You know who I think had a hand in this whole thing? I think it's the US. Because
United States.
currently the senators that side, they're fighting with all of these social media platforms. And they despise TikTok because they think it's affiliated with the Chinese.
Yeah.
For an example, this past week on TikTok, this interview, I don't know, it was a hearing, whereby this senator, I don't know what's his name, but he's a politician that side. He's asking this CEO of TikTok, where you from? And he says, I'm from Singapore. And he tries to come back and tries to make it seem like he's from whatever, from China, because they have a problem with China and they're very insecure when it comes to China. They think it's their biggest, well, maybe
It probably is.
it's
Competitors or something.
so I think it has something to do with that, because obviously the politicians, they control everything, especially
you might have a
internationally.
point.
Yeah.
Because at some point, China banned your Twitter and your Facebook.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
saying
yeah, I
they're
know,
using
banally.
those platforms to spy on them. And there was also an argument where the American senators are saying China is using TikTok to spy on them.
So I think it has something to do with it. But
Okay.
like I said, the biggest losers here are the artists.
Are the artists, and I think
true.
that's where you sit down on the table and you refuse to give each other the middle finger. You find something that is
Yeah.
amicable.
Balance.
and
And that's who's important here, really, to be
What
honest.
Universal was blaming TikTok for is that they're only pushing the big artists, like your Drake, your Taylor Swift, but the smaller artists, they're not
Coming.
pushing their music through. It's like they're muting it on purpose so we can push the bigger artists.
But guys, I feel like also that's a different conversation, and I think I don't want to go in there for the sake of time. But there's something called shadow banning, and there's like anyone that just goes through doom scrolling on TikTok. Or it didn't. I feel like it's a dopamine field, and whatever you recognize, you're highly likely to stop and listen to. And it's so much easier for Drake to, even if it's a shit song, it's gonna market
catch
like
you, yeah.
so much easier. Like right now, going into the same beef that's like cooking right now with Nicki Minaj and and Megan, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We all know about it because one, but Robbie Lady Project, and they've been in the game consistently. Well, okay, Megan Thee Stallion has been like in the game for 3-4 years now. I'm not too sure, but also she's one of the people that had Animal Gaming. She was lucky enough to get like the biggest collaborations in the industry. It is hard. I don't care how many years you've been in the industry. It is hard to get Beyonce on your song. And they won an award together, and they were even on stages together. And Beyonce was so nice. I won for award. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it's a matter of you could have a dope song, and I think we've said this on another episode. You could have a really great song, and I have just a shit song. But just because I'm this person, I'm highly likely to get like the influence. But before you blame TikTok of not pushing anyone, there's something they call shadow burning. There's so many things that happen on TikTok. Do your research on how to actually get traction, because if you actually do your research, TikTok said start posting your videos in landscape and no longer portrait for you to get more viewers. Exactly.